It's Mary on the run. It's Mary, Mary on the run. It's Mary, Mary on the run. It's Mary, Mary on the run. Mary on the run.
Welcome to Mary on the Run. I don't even know what number it is, but as I was saying a few minutes ago before we were recording, you're the fourth one I'm talking to, the fourth graduate from the class of 2017 that I'm talking to today. So I just keep getting more and more excited. So if I seem a little excited, I am. So Grace, tell the audience, the listeners, who you are and where you went to college.
So my name's Grace Modderman. I graduated class of 2017, first class, and I went to Stevens Institute of Technology up in Hoboken.
Okay. So are you there now? Are you home? You home for the holidays?
Yeah, I actually stayed home this whole semester.
Okay.
Because we were virtual, so thought we'd save a little bit of money, and so I've been at home working part-time over at Riverview in Red Bank.
Oh wow.
So yeah, still home.
Good. So you went in as an engineering major. What are you graduating as?
Actually stuck with engineering the whole time. I think I might be one of the few. But yeah, it is biomedical engineering, and we'll be graduating with that as well.
Oh, so
yeah.
What are you planning to do after graduation then?
That's a good question. Still figuring that out myself. I am in the midst of the full-time job search, so been doing that actively. Really just applying anywhere where I see that my degree and my passions would see fit. So I've been interviewing, applying, doing all that type of stuff. So fingers crossed.
For sure. So where do you think your passion is going to take you, or where would you like your passion to take you?
Yeah, so I've been applying to a lot of jobs that, interestingly enough, even though I majored in biomedical, the whole building the device is less interesting to me, and more interesting to me is I'm a very personable person, social, more of the client side of the biomedical engineering, like being a rep for a company, or even working on the quality side, which is a lot of documentation, coordinating with different departments and stuff. That's kind of what I'm looking to do.
Wow. So when someone hears about biomedical, is that really building the devices that people use surgically and also for prosthetic?
Yeah, so biomedical is pretty cool. It sounds like a pretty specific major.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it has a lot of things you can do. So I know a lot of people, especially from Stevens, will go into the med devices and work for companies like Stryker and Merck and stuff like that. But then a lot of others will do the med school route. You can be a rep, which is where you're actually going into the surgical room and teaching the doctor how to use the device that your company makes. So there's a lot you can do with it, yeah.
I have a lot of nephews and nieces. One of my nephews works for one of the companies that does it. And he actually goes into the operating room and tells the doctor how to use the device.
That's so cool. I think those people have such a cool job.
Yeah.
That's actually what I did for part of my internship that we had to do our senior year. I went to Riverview, the hospital I'm working at now, and got to shadow some of the doctors and meet and see what those reps do. So that was really cool. Yeah.
So did Trinity Hall prepare you for this degree?
Yes, definitely. Learning how to time manage and kind of prioritize what I needed to get done. I was definitely a very busy person while at Trinity. So I think for the most part, that's really what prepared me, is being able to handle heavy course loads and extracurriculars and all that type of stuff, for sure.
So what could we have done a little bit better to make you, to make that transition easier?
Well, I'm sure things have been adjusted now, but I know I'm sure there's been a lot of changes. But I know that in my time, the emphasis was definitely more on projects and less so on actual big tests and stuff. And I can definitely say, as a senior now, most of my classes are big projects, but my freshman and sophomore year, that was a huge transition for me, learning how to study for these major tests. That was definitely my freshman year's big learning curve, whereas a lot of people already knew how to study, what methods work best for them for obviously weekly tests I know how to study for, but big midterms and finals I'd never really done. So that was something I definitely had to learn on my own a little bit. Yeah.
And based on the feedback from the class of 2017,
yeah.
we should start to insert more major tests. We still don't give midterms, And we still have a mix in finals of projects and testing, but we did try to focus more on that because that was something that you're not the only one that said that a number of girls did. The other thing we added that girls sometimes speak about is we weren't doing a lot of coding at the time.
Yeah.
And now we've added coding into everything that we do within engineering. So there's a lot of coding.
That's awesome. I know a lot of people at Stevens, I hear it all the time that people are like, coding is going to be the next, like being bilingual, like speaking Spanish and being able to code and stuff like that is going to be synonymous. So that's definitely really good to hear. I personally stay as far away from coding as possible, but props to anyone that does enjoy that.
Well, I think, like you said, I think it's another language. And so we want our graduates to learn that. So as well as doing the design thinking and engineering, the 4-year engineering, now we have coding as well. So I think, and a little bit more, but still not as much as.
That's good. A good mix is important.
Yeah. So what kinds of activities were you involved in at Stevens?
I've been involved since my freshman year with an organization called Engineers Without Borders. So most people know what Doctors Without Borders is, so it's basically the same thing, but for engineers. I've been on the e-board for that, the executive board for that club for 2 years now. I actually just stepped down from my position since I'll be graduating in May, but that's been awesome. It's a really cool club. We just acquired a project in Bolivia, actually, so the incoming next few years of students will be going down there to implement a brand new water filtration system for a small village.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so that's been a really cool and like really engaging thing to be a part of. Like aside from my studies, I've really loved that. Yeah, and then I was involved in a sorority, to many people's surprise, and didn't do any like official sports teams at school, but stayed very active with running and stuff on my own.
Oh, that's great. Well, it's really good to see you. And Engineers Without Borders, that's something I haven't heard about before. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I honestly never heard of it either. But I went to the club fair like my first week of school, and I was like, wait, this is perfect for me. I was like, I love traveling, like love volunteering to get involved. So yeah, it's been amazing. I've met some really cool people through it.
So were you able to travel with a project that you were part of?
I unfortunately was not. We were actually supposed to go to Bolivia this winter to do an assessment trip, to like meet the villagers. Because the cool thing about Engineers Without Borders is the villagers, they apply for the project and they're required to contribute at least 20% of the project. So that can be monetary, but since a lot of the villagers are like impoverished, a lot of it is labor, because you don't want to just go like build this thing and then the villagers don't know how to use it. It's kind of
they gotta have ownership.
Yeah, so that's a really cool thing. So we were supposed to go there this winter and meet them and stuff like that, but obviously due to circumstances, but we've been meeting with them on Zoom and stuff. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm really excited to hear about that. I want to hear more about that.
Yeah.
I want you to write in about that. Write
okay.
So when we publish our next annual report, something can go in about that. Because that's
cool. Okay, yeah.
Or even like when you're available, come in and talk to the girls about that. We'll have you as because remember I always said the class of 2017 will be I know I'm going to retire, so I can't promise it, but I would think that Mrs. Kiernan will look to you girls for women in leadership speakers. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Actually, that's a good idea. I never thought about that. I would definitely be interested in.
Okay, so I will give your name to that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 309 students now, so that's a little bit different than the first class of 32, and actually 30. And we graduated 65 last year, and this year we're going to graduate 68.
That's awesome.
Our junior class and our junior class are over 80. So to say there's been a lot of growth would be an understatement.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was going to say, kind of related to that, but sort of different. But I must say, going to Stevens and like being at a school that's so predominantly boys, just thinking about being in such a small class and then also only all girls, I get asked all the time. I'm actually a tour guide on campus. I've done that for 3 years now, which I love. And I always get asked like, what's it like with being at a school that's so many boys, blah, blah. And I always reference Trinity Hall, and I'm always like, I actually went to an all-girls school, so you would think I would hate this, but being at Trinity Hall and being with all girls, so like, I just feel like I feel so empowered at Stevens from my time at Trinity, because I'm like, we always were encouraged to speak up in class. Like, I really feel like I found my voice, and I mean, I definitely never would have done engineering if I wasn't at Stevens, if I didn't go to Trinity. So
that's what we want to do, educate and empower. That's important, that you can attest to that. And the fact that we went to this, I didn't realize Stevens was so many men still.
Yeah, I didn't think so either, but I got there. My class is 7 to 3, and then I think the average of the school is like 6 to 4 boys to girls. So yeah.
We know the class of 2021 has 2 Trinity Hall strong women. So
yes.
so all these girls need to hear from you, and they need a message. So share something that maybe you wish you knew when you were at Trinity that you might do differently, or share something that now from your college experience at Stevens, you know that this is what you need to continue to do. So words of wisdom, Grace.
If any time in your life is going to empower you to be an independent woman, your time at Trinity will definitely do that. I've learned that. And then also, seeing that I'm in the midst of the full-time job search, I'll definitely touch on that since that's hitting pretty close to home right now. I mean, even just the thing that you just said about connecting me with someone, your connections at Trinity Hall. I know that you guys aren't even close to thinking about full-time jobs and stuff like that, but throughout college, anything like that, don't ever hesitate to think, oh, I graduated high school, like I'm moving on from that chapter, closing the book. That's definitely not the case. Networking and the people you know is really everything, whether it's for advice, jobs, just, I don't know, any question you could possibly have. Networking is so huge. So don't ever forget the people at Trinity Hall, because they'll never hesitate. I definitely haven't utilized that enough. And just talking to Miss Grillo right now, I definitely will open up more, but I keep in touch with people from Trinity, and don't just utilize that. All of us alums will always help you. I mean, if any of you ever reached out to me, I would drop anything and come and talk to you, have coffee with you, answer the phone. So my thing would just be utilize those resources, and don't forget that there's always those people there. It's really helpful in the long run.
Well, you couldn't have said it any better. So thank you, Grace. I really appreciate it. How was your family?
Absolutely. Very good. We're all living in close quarters, obviously, now that everyone's home. This hasn't happened for a while. So yeah, we're good. My brother and sister are in college, or high school. I don't know why I said college.
Okay.
My sister's very big into rowing at RFH.
Very nice.
Yeah. We just got a new dog. That's why my arm was moving very randomly in the beginning.
Okay, show us your dog.
Right here. Lily.
Oh, what kind of dog is it?
Oh, she's sleeping. Yeah. She's a mix. We just rescued her from Louisiana a couple. But yeah, we're all very good.
So say hello to everyone. It's so good.
I will.
I thank you so much for all that you've accomplished on behalf of yourself, but also you've done it for us. So I thank you.
Thank you, Miss Grillo. I can't believe you're leaving.
I know.
I got that memo. I'm so happy for you, though. I don't know what Trinity Hall would have been without you. So
Yep. So I'll see you
keep in
soon.
touch.
It's Mary on the run. It's Mary.